Hello, everyone. I hope everyone had a good week. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about video game prices, nostalgia, why we still collect even after games have shot up in price so much. Today, I want to use an example. This is a very popular video game back from 1991, Musha. It's highly sought after today. It's on the Sega Genesis. This is a complete in box set. Now, I couldn't find exactly how much a video game retailed for in Sega Genesis. This particular video game retailed for in 1991. However, on average, the price back then was $49.99 for a brand new game. Now, taking inflation into account, in today's money, that's roughly about $116. A game kind of ridiculous to think, $116, but it's not that far fetched when you're considering Nintendo charging, $80 for games nowadays. You really should go out and thank your parents and such for picking you up these games because in 1990s money, yeah, $50 was quite a bit. But even taking that into consideration, we're taking a look here. This particular game now on price charting, it averages out to about, I believe it's $750 complete in box for this game. It's a wonderful shoot 'em up. It is really good, but is it worth really $750? I don't know. That's kind of debatable with that. But the thing with it is people would blame the pandemic, and they did go up in price. The highest price that this particular game ever did hit was back in 2021. At that time, 1050, 1050 US dollars was the highest peak that this game hit, complete in box. So that's a far cry, even considering the $116 that a $49.99 would equate to back in 1991. And you can blame the pandemic, sure. I mean, people were at home, they had the extra spending money, and they wanted to go ahead and pick up something. And a video game is something that you can do from home. But even before that, I was taking a look at, the earliest price charting history that we have. And I know price charting isn't the end all be all of everything, but at the moment, really, it's the only thing we have to go off of for this particular game. The earliest sale on there, 2013, a complete in box set. It sold for $298 in 2013. So again, that's much more expensive than when you take in a 2% inflation rate or even the much higher inflation rate that we ended up with today. I mean, with a 2% inflation rate, this game, $49.99 in 2025, should be about $98. But of course, we know we don't have an exact 2% inflation, which is why it's the $116 is what it would be in today's money, about $50 or so. Now, those of us like me that grew up in the 90s, we do have the whole, we remember being sitting in front of those big CRT TVs, playing these video games. Sometimes your parents told you exactly how long you can play a game. You had to finish your homework, or you would wake up on the weekend and you were allowed to play these games. Maybe you were a little spoiled and you got to play anytime you wanted. But for the most part, it was a treat to be able to play video games. So just thinking back on that and thinking back at a time when you had less responsibility, it's kind of comforting to be able to just boot up a game like this again and be able to play it. The thing is, though, we do have other methods of doing so now. We have, there's emulation, there's compilations. So why is it that we gravitate back towards getting the original hardware, playing the original game? I think it has something to do, at least in my particular case, I like the idea of physical media because you just never know what's going to happen. You never know if a digital copy is going to be erased. One day it might not be part of the collection online. I've had that kind of thing happen. I'll get into that in another video with digital versus physical, but digital is kind of scary in that aspect. But more than that, it's the idea of being able to just pop open this Sega Genesis case, look through your manual, pick it up, and be able to just transport yourself back to when you were a child, back to that time. Be able to take this cart and just stick it into your machine. Be able to play the game with a controller that you had, back then. It's back in the 90s, you didn't have the digital road. You didn't have, you can just pop this and get this off the internet, or play anytime you really wanted to without having to go to the physical store to get something like this, or down to the rental to be able to rent it. It wasn't as simple as it is nowadays. So I think it just harkens back to a simpler time when we had less responsibilities, and it is something that they will take advantage of. The fact that we have that nostalgia, the fact that we are willing to pay for it, and now we're grown adults and we have our own money, and we get to decide for the most part what to do with that money. It's not our parents anymore telling us, no, you can't buy that, it's too expensive. It's not, we need to save the money or whatever. It's you can responsibly or irresponsibly go out and get this game anytime that you really want, and be able to just play it anytime you really want. And for the most part, I have found that it's nice. I have heard stories of people booting up games from their childhood and playing them, and just finding that it's not quite the same thing. But for me, it still takes me back to that time when I had a lot less responsibility, that time when $50 was, heck, it was a lot of money. You'd get $5 from your aunts and be really happy. But I think that's what they are exploiting here, is the fact that we have this love for these games, that we'd be willing to pay this price. And of course, you can blame resellers, but the more I think of it, it's really more about demand and supply and demand. The resellers are going to sell this for as much as they can possibly get out of it. The price comes down when a person doesn't buy it. So, of course, to bring the price down, people just collectively have to not buy it. And the reseller will go ahead and lower the price. And I'm talking about reseller now because, I could be wrong. I'm not thinking straight here. But right now, with this particular game in this particular 1991 version of it, that's the only way you're going to get it, is from a reseller. You can't go into a Target. You can't go on Amazon and buy a brand new copy from the Amazon store or from Target. It's going to be somebody else selling the copy. You might be able to get a new one. It's ridiculously priced for a brand new one, but it's still going to be somebody that bought this and is currently selling it. So in the end, to bring the price down, just people need to not buy it. But at the end of the day, it's really, what do you think it's worth to you? To me, the memories of playing a game when I was young, it's priceless to me. I love the idea of being able to do these kinds of things. So at the end of the day, it's up to you whether you're going to go ahead and pick it up, whether you're going to emulate it. And you're not going to get the same experience, emulating these types of games either. It's not the same as being on original hardware. Now, in some cases, people would argue that it's better being emulated. It's better on a retro console, the modern retro consoles that they have out, because you got save files, you have all these nice graphics, that type of thing. And sure, that's really up to you if it's something that you like. But I like the idea of ABC. I like the idea of a directional pad and just very simple buttons. Not have to deal with all these buttons on the Switch. And it's just something that I've been thinking about a lot. Of course, I miss my childhood. I do, and I do acknowledge that does have a big part in me starting this collection and having these games and playing these games as an adult. And I think that is the way for a lot of gamers as well. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think, to go back to a time when you were, things were simpler and you were happy. But I think that that's where the prices come in. I think that that's why they're so ridiculously priced, even going way past what they should be based on inflation. And they go up and down. I would encourage you that if you're really interested in a high price game, don't fall for the FOMO, wait on it. Or, if you see a good deal, go ahead and pick it up because the prices do go up, they do go down. There's been so many times I've sold some of my best games, my whole Pokemon collection, Game Boy, DS, all that. I gave it for pennies at GameStop, and I did that for the newest and greatest thing. I think I traded it in for a couple of credits towards a PS3 or something. And looking back on it, it's one of my biggest regrets, but we're all going to have those regrets. So it's kind of hard thinking about forking over $750 to buy this game now if you had it as a kid, or any other game, whatever the price may be, forking over hard earned money, so much more money when you probably gave the game away at a yard sale for a buck or two, or traded in a GameStop or something along those lines. It's just something that we end up having to pay a premium for. But this was just kind of a rambling video. Just wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts about back when these games came out, and why they went up for so much money. And again, it's all us. It's we're willing to pay those prices, and they're gonna charge us whatever we're willing to pay. Unfortunately, it's not good. It really isn't. But what could you really do if you really want these games? If you want to play them the way that they were intended to play, it does make it very difficult for gamers with that. But let me know your thoughts on this. I want to know what you think. If you grew up in this era, did you grow up in the 90s? Did you grow up in the 80s or even the 2000s? And so you're going to see a big jump in the price of games. And do you have any regrets? Do you have any games that you ended up giving away, that broke, or you threw a box away, maybe a Pokemon box, or um, just let me know a little bit about your experience as a kid, and what you think about these prices nowadays, because they are getting up there. 80 bucks for a game nowadays is ridiculous. But again, if your parents are around, go and thank them, because 49.99 back in 1991 compared to what, $116. Yeah, they did you good. Anyways, I'm signing off, and hope to be on here again soon.